Good morning and welcome to WellSprings. My name is Julie, my pronouns are she and her, and we're gonna start off this cold, rainy morning with some singing. We have a new one we're debuting. It's pretty simple, so I think you'll be able to catch on. Please rise, whether in body or in spirit.
If you want it, you can have it. All you gotta do is just reach out and grab it. If you want it, you can have it. All you gotta do is just reach out and grab it. Step on up, step into your power. Step on up, step into your power, child. Step on up, step into your power. Step on up, step into your power, child. Now listen to me. All you need, you already own. It was given to you on the day that you were born. Anything that your heart can dream, you can make it reality. Step on up, step into your power. Step on up, step into your power, child. Step on up, step into your power. Step on up, step into your power, child. Now listen, don't be afraid to fall. It's a getting back up that's gonna make you strong. God only made one like you. So come on, baby, and just do what you were born to do. Step on up, step into your power. Step on up, step into your power, child. Step on up, step into your power. Step on up, step into your power, child. Step on up, step into your power. Step on up, step into your power, child. Step on up, step into your power. Step on up, step into your power, child. Step on up, step on up, step on up.
Please take a seat. We're going to slow it down. Please do sing along. To be humble, to be kind, it is the giving of the peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are love, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. To be bold, to be brave, it is
possibilities. Heroes don't look like they used to. They look like you do. We are love, we are one. We are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. We are how we treat each other.
Please rise, whether in body or in spirit, and let's do some moving. You gotta move, you gotta move, you gotta move, child, you gotta move. When the Lord gets ready, you gotta move, you gotta move, you gotta move. You may be high, you gotta move. You may be low, you gotta move. You may be red, you gotta move. You may be bold, you gotta move. But when the Lord gets ready, you gotta move, you gotta move, you gotta move. You got to move, you gotta 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 move. But when the Lord gets ready, you gotta move, you gotta move, you gotta move. You see that man, you gotta move, walking down the street, you gotta move. You see the car, you gotta move, who wants to be, you gotta move. But when the Lord gets ready, you gotta move, you gotta move, you gotta move. You've got to move, you gotta 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 move. But when the Lord gets ready, you gotta move, you gotta move, you gotta move. You may be old, you gotta move. You may be young, you gotta move. You may be weak, you gotta move. Maybe high strung, you gotta move. But when the Lord gets ready, you gotta move, you gotta move, you gotta move. You've got to move, you gotta 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 move. But when the Lord gets ready, you gotta move, you gotta move, you gotta move. One more time. You got to move, you gotta 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 move. When the Lord gets ready, you gotta move, you gotta move, you gotta move. But when the Lord gets ready, you gotta move, you gotta move, you gotta move.
Good morning. Welcome to WellSprings, both to those here in Bell Hall and to everyone who's joining us online this morning. My name is Terry Rothermel. My pronouns are she and her. and I'm honored and blessed to be leading our worship service today. Each week when we gather, we light a chalice as a symbol of our shared spiritual heritage as Unitarian Universalists. It's not just a symbol of what is past, but what is present, that divine spark, that inner light that shines at the heart of each of our lives. As we light this chalice, may we share our light with each other and with the world. Today, we've asked Kenya to light our chalice, and after they've done so, we will say the words on the screen together. Yes, they're there. We light this chalice to celebrate the path lit before us, the warmth of kindness that shines from within us, and the radiance of wisdom that is shared between us and never goes out. Welcome. Good morning. Our mission here, good morning. You can tell this is my first time. Our mission here at WellSprings is to be a community charged full with a charge of the soul. And as I said, this is my first time. I had, as many people say, I had no idea what I was going to say. So I kind of said, okay, so how am I feeling? And I realized I am riled up about what's happening to our government right now. I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm not a political person. I never have been. I never got involved. That was for other people. In the past, I would have said, but what can I do? I'm just one little person. But recently I remembered, I'm not just one little person. I'm part of WellSprings, a community of people. I looked at our WellSprings DNA. It includes our vision that WellSprings is called to make the world whole. Wholeness doesn't mean perfection, but it does mean healing what's broken, weaving together what's torn apart, and not leaving anyone behind. We believe in the power of community. That means we build bridges and connections between people. We believe in ripples of connection. That means like a pebble drops into a pool of water, we don't know how far the ripples of our actions may reach. We believe in the burning bush that blazes everywhere. The possibility of revelation is always open to us through our mindful attention. To me, where I stand now, I feel a calling to use that power of community, to make ripples of connection, and to respond to the burning energy that's telling me to get involved and heed that call to make the world whole. Together, we are powerful. This morning, I'd especially like to welcome any newcomers. If this is your first or second time with us, we're so glad you're here. You can see any of our belonging team members to help you get connected, to find out where the bathrooms are, or just to have a friend to sit with. Are there any belonging members here? You can see their hands are up. Yes, great. I hope you'll fill out a connection card so you can learn more about us and start to introduce yourself too. If you're watching from home, there's a link on the online connection card in the description below the video. If you're here in Bell Hall, you can fill out a connection card on your phone by scanning the QR code that appears on the screen during the announcements. If anyone would like to interact with folks who are joining online this morning, there's a live chat available on YouTube. To access it, you need a YouTube or Google account. Just sign in and then click the live chat button to say hello. Finally, you can always find more information about today's service as well as upcoming events and news by scanning the QR code available on the welcome table just by the front doors there as you walk into Bell Hall. That same QR code will appear on the screen during the announcements. And now for our announcements for this week and for the QR code, I'll turn it over to our Membership and Communications Coordinator, Beth Trandle.
Hi, my name is Clay Trandle. My name is Wes Trandle.
And I'm Beth Trandle.
And we're here for announcements today.
Over here, you'll find a QR code that you can scan at any point during these announcements for more information. This Monday, February 17th, will be our next WellSprings Book Club meeting. They'll be discussing the book, The Revenge of the Tipping Point, and they'd like to have you come join them either virtually or in person at the Montgomery School. If you can't make this meeting, you can always be sure to start reading the book for March, which is the in-between. We'll be hosting a teen bowling afternoon on February 22nd. Any teen ages 12 to 17 can feel free to go to the Downingtown Bowling Palace in the afternoon for a fun afternoon of bowling. And finally, we are still looking for a few volunteers to help out with our potluck, which will be held on April 6th at the Montgomery School. Good news is we don't need any more cooks, so this is your opportunity to help out. No cooking involved. We hope you'll be a part of it. That's all for today. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, WellSprings.
Bye. At WellSprings, the foundation of all we do is rooted in the power of connection, of making space in our hearts and in our lives for each other. This is the part of our service where we honor that connection by greeting one another. We recognize our community's presence beyond these walls, so feel free to take a moment now to connect and share a greeting in the live chat, or maybe to say hello in WellSprings Oasis, our private group on Facebook. For those here in Bell Hall, a reminder to please ask before hugging. Flu season is upon us, or approaching closely. And if you prefer to keep distance from others for any reason, just stay seated. That'll be our cue to give you a friendly wave from afar. With gratitude for all the ways we may connect, please greet one another now. Thank you. Thank you for those warm greetings. Those here in Bell Hall are invited to continue your conversations during coffee hour. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to continue on. The band's going to start playing in a minute. You can continue over coffee hour. It'll take place right here after the service. Yes. And soon we're going to sit down and continue on. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I invite you now into our time of generosity. Why is there this big echo all of a sudden? An opportunity to express our gratitude for and the commitment to the ways this spiritual community has an impact on all our lives. We sustain WellSprings now and in the future through our contributions. If you'd like, you can use the phone to give from anywhere. Just text WSprings to 73256. It's also easy and convenient to automate your giving on Realm. Our belonging team will be bringing hats around for those who wish to donate by hand. You can also drop a check or a cash donation into the box near the front doors at the welcome table. Thank you for all the ways your gifts support WellSprings. Our offering will now be gratefully received. Thank you. Having shared energy between us and giving beyond us, let's take some time now to reground into the deep and soulful energy that's within. We do this by doing what is most simple and elemental in our lives. We take a breath. Inhaling and exhaling without rush or hurry, breathing in and breathing out. There's nowhere else to go, nowhere else to be. Let us cultivate peace and experience presence together. As we prepare for our time of mindful silence, we follow these words from Thich Nhat Hanh. If we want to enter heaven on earth, we need only one conscious step and one conscious breath. It is that we are, whatever it is that we're doing, however it is that we're feeling, let us remember that peace and presence are always as close to us as is our own breath. May this be so for us in this moment. May it be so for us this day, and may it be so for us all in the days to come. And now I'd like to invite our congregation's children to join our staff and volunteers in the back of the room for their time of fellowship and youth spirit. Youth spirit will be meeting in Gresh, and grown-ups, please pick your children up from youth spirit after service is over. And now let's join the band for our next song.
Please rise, whether in body or in spirit.
I said, Lord, here's the total of what I done. Sometimes I did good, sometimes I done wrong, but I always given life, and I'm proud and humble, humble and proud. I am proud and humble, humble and proud. I am proud and humble, humble and proud. When I come, yeah, when I'm done. Oh, I'm proud and humble, humble and proud. I am proud and humble, humble and proud. I am proud and humble, humble and proud. When I'm done, yeah, when I'm done.
Good morning, y'all. Got to claim my y'all from time to time. It's legitimate. This morning I feel like I've got to call you beloveds. We need to pull together as beloveds. The year was 2016, but he was prescient. Early in that year, Rabbi Erwin Keller offered a heartfelt prayer. Rabbi Keller prayed, God, the soul you have placed in me is pure and vulnerable. I am afraid that looking at today's news will be painful. Encircle me in a robe of light so that I can witness the wounds of the world without being wounded myself. Let me learn what I need to know in order to be of my greatest use without being overwhelmed by despair. I feel your protective light as I open myself to the world's suffering and the world's joy. Amen. Let me read that prayer again from Rabbi Keller. God, the soul you have placed in me is pure and vulnerable. I am afraid that looking at today's news will be painful. Encircle me in a robe of light so that I can witness the wounds of this world without being wounded myself. Let me learn what I need to know in order to be of my greatest use without being overwhelmed by despair. I feel your protective light as I open myself to the world's suffering and the world's joy. Amen. Now we are under the onslaught of 2025. Ignore the news at our own risk. We are people of goodwill, people of faith. As Reverend Ken reminds us, that we do our ethics with our eyes wide open, or we don't do ethics at all. We dare not abrogate our voice, our loving actions. We are people leaning toward the light. In this worship service, we lean toward the light. And how can we witness this hot mess of 2025 federal governance without being overwhelmed by despair? I know that I feel like a deer in headlights. That 2025 plan called Shock and Awe program. Anybody else feel the news as stun and appall? Stunned, appalled, paralyzed half the time, or maybe most of the time, is how I feel about it. Burning with something that needs done, and I don't know where to go with it yet. We've got constitutional crisis. We've got deportations. We've got the hammering home like they hate us. A guy on Reddit prompted a bot like this. He said, "What's a horror to describe the U.S. right now?" So scanning all the internet recorded words, the bot replied, "The people scream at each other through glowing screens, each convinced the other is a monster, while those above feast quietly, unseen. Yeah. So guys, do you see some of this as well? Headlines and bylines designed to divide and dehumanize, capturing our attention with painful negative feelings, breeding grievance and naming scapegoats. They're eating the dogs and cats. So how did any of us fall for this? Feeding endless outrage to vulnerable minds. Slightly more than half our voting citizens were suckered into outrage against others. Right now, we the people look more like us and them, each convinced the other is a monster. Perhaps some people might feel triumphant, but I expect most of us and them are feeling angry, sad, disgusted, and afraid. All humans feel these powerful, painful, negative emotions. Those emotions evolved to respond to threats to our existence, like tigers or alligators, or floods or fires, or enemies. But humans generally prefer to stay safe. Our deal with danger emotions, anger or fear, flood us with the biochemical adrenaline for the energy and the power to work for safety. That's a good thing, being safe. But here's the thing. A special anger, the feeling called outrage, also generates adrenaline. Outrage masquerades as our friend, but can fool us. It can be manipulated. Outrage manipulated by bad actors can be tempting. And you go, tempting? But consider the dictionary definition: a feeling of righteous anger, a strong moral emotion characterized by a combination of surprise, disgust, and anger. But the key here is righteous anger, which is okay until it becomes self-righteous. Have you ever considered that divisive power of self-righteous anger, manipulated and stirred up, right? Us and them, each tribe, self-righteous, each convinced that the other is a monster. How easy is it then to use self-righteousness to manipulate one of humans' favorite emotions, being right? We love to be right. So how easy it is then to actually dehumanize the other. Listen, all humans are actually susceptible unless, and here my message turns toward the light. Unless we know how to use our brains, how they work. Evolution provided us with thought as well as emotion. We are graced with prefrontal lobes, executive function. Tucked behind our foreheads is the ability to think. Think out a solution, distinguish, discern. Think about our emotions from our limbic system. Use those synapses in our brain to shift from the limbic system into the prefrontal lobes. Use how our brains work to escape unseemly manipulation by emotions. Infants can't do that yet. Toddlers are starting to see the advantage. Teenagers are struggling to master that trick of thinking before reacting. Most of us struggle with that. Yeah. Feel, yeah, sure. Stop and think, not so much. Some of us never manage to avoid manipulation by emotions, and they vote that way. Last week, I heard a wag posit that females develop mature synapses at age 21. Males, around 70. The wag I heard displaying this charming humor was actually giving a DEI seminar, diversity, equity, and inclusion, at my place of work. My employer had engaged an important professor at the Harvard Business School. We were provided precious time with Professor Arthur C. Brooks. Arthur C. Brooks. I'm going to mention his name 3 times. 3 times is for important memories. You may have heard of him already. If not, I encourage you to look him up, enjoy his website. Let me give you an idea who is Arthur C. Brooks. Arthur Brooks is a Harvard professor, PhD social scientist, #1 best-selling author, and a columnist at The Atlantic, who specializes in using the highest levels of science and philosophy to provide people with actionable strategies to live their best lives. Arthur provides happiness training and professional development to businesses, academia, government, and faith communities based on cutting-edge research in social science and neuroscience, as well as philosophy and wisdom traditions. So I was watching this on the desktop, and he was answering questions, and it felt so real, so side by side. I got very excited. I wanted to share from his seminar, Let's Get Real, the Art and Science of Happiness. And then first of all, why I wanted to share his point of view with us here right now. So here are some quotes from his seminar. He said, "The Buddha has said, conquer the evil man with kindness." Professor Brooks said it takes moral courage to love the unlovable. He said, tender loving kindness creates connection. He said, connection through loving kindness can dissolve the us and them dilemma. He said, it's proven that the happier you are, the better world you create. And then he said the thing that really rattled me. He said, happy people are the light in the darkness. So I thought this information belonged shared here. So the seminar title, Let's Get Real. Yep. He recognizes that humans have a negativity bias, originally meant to keep us alive. We have more negative emotions than we do positive ones, but again, it was meant to keep us alive. Even so, we can get happier, and each of us can become a happiness teacher. And hey, happiness is actually not a feeling. He says the feeling is the evidence of happiness. And then he shares there are 3 micro ingredients of happiness: enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning. And those should be in balance and in abundance. And a little bit more about that in a minute. Professor Brooks spoke of the triune brain, giving attribution to Paul MacLean. Back here, below the level of consciousness, is the reptile brain, sensing thousands of signals right here, right now. Hot and cold, light, people moving, whatever's happening. Signals that we don't realize, but they are sending to our neo-mammalian brain a sense of safety or of danger. Then here in the middle is our neo-mammalian brain, which is containing the limbic system, that's the emotions, which are the common human language. Our common human language is not spoken, it's felt. Emotions both positive, such as joy, and the negative ones: anger, sadness, disgust, and fear. Most recently evolved our prefrontal cortex. This is metacognition, where we can think, where we can decide how to act, where we can address the deep questions. So, how to grow our happiness? Happy people are the light in the darkness. So we've got the enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning in balance and in abundance. Enjoyment is pleasure. You enhance it by sharing that pleasure with people and keeping it in your memory. Satisfaction, now that one is interesting because Professor Brooks was saying that deferred gratification is part of being satisfied. He says it starts when you're little and we're training you to wait to dinner so you'll be hungry, so you'll be satisfied with the meal. In the old days, Mick Jagger was singing, "I can't get no satisfaction." And he says, well, kind of. We humans can get satisfaction, we can't keep it. As soon as we get to a level of satisfaction, we reset, we recalibrate, and now we want more. So we evolved that way, and he is telling us satisfaction is very tough to manage, and asking, can we learn to recognize having enough? That will cause us to be thrilled because we know we've got enough, we're satisfied. We're not always looking for more, harder work, more things to achieve. That is very tempting, but he wants us to fight that. And meaning. He says we can't last without meaning. There's coherence, there's purpose, there's significance. Answering, why am I alive? For what would I be willing to give my life right now? Some heavy stuff that he addresses with us. So we've got the ingredients: enjoyment, satisfaction, meaning. And then he says there's 4 habits, lots of habits, but 4 major habits that are to grow our happiness. And those habits involved faith, family, friends, and meaningful work. So he reminds us all 4 of those habits are increased by love. Faith, loving family, true friends, and meaning within your work. So growing our faith increased by love, I think that's why we're here, right? That's why we gather here. So faith includes transcendence, peace, and our spiritual practices. So to increase our love, attend to our spiritual practices. We're going to need all the resilience that we can build in person and in community. Whatever your spiritual practice is, might be yoga, might be meditation, might be sacred text, might be nature walks. We need our spiritual practices. We need to increase our ability to manage our emotions using our thinking brain. And Professor Brooks made a point that I literally, suddenly, at last understood. Our emotions cannot write. Let me repeat. Our limbic system does not have the ability to write. When we simply write, we are acting from our thinking brain, our prefrontal cortex. We're no longer trapped in the upset. I can feel it. In fact, I have to feel it. But I don't have to be ruled by it. Writing is part of managing our emotions. You actually have journaling in the palm of your hand because it isn't where you write. It's that you're using the thinking brain to write, which then pulls you out of the emotion trap. You can describe that emotion, but it's no longer ruling you when you just simply write here or wherever. So we might say, Peace and presence are as close to us as is our own breath and in the palm of our hand. Increasing our love, getting past our anger or sadness, disgust or fear, feeling them, yes, they need to be felt, but getting past them through to compassion. And I promise it can be done. Many of you know that my husband Pete and I have been active in gun violence prevention. Why? It's personal. We grieve for beloved family members who were shot dead in their home by a stranger robbing them. But why am I telling you this today when we face all this mess in our nation? Because we know that outrage provides fuel. It burns to force change. But here's the thing, outrage is actually thoughtless, without thought. You gotta feel the outrage and feel the grief, but burn it until you fire up your compassion. We don't want anyone else to feel the grief that we've felt from that kind of death. The outrage we're feeling now from headlines and bylines needs to burn through to compassion. People of goodwill generate compassion. They are the light in the darkness. A couple of weeks ago in her message, Josie emphasized the importance of growing our circles. Absolutely. Circles of trust, circles of connection. Grow overlapping circles and connections of goodwill. There are people of goodwill wherever you are known and trusted. For my husband Pete and I, we're counting Ann, who connects us to the Hockessin Friends meeting, they're Quakers, and Jeff, who connects us to First Wilmington UU, and Rabbi Gumbacher, who connects us to the Jewish community, and Tim, who connects us to Alternatives to Violence workshops in the prison, and Miguel and Debbie at work, and all the people who know our hearts and we know theirs. Faith, family, friends, important friends, special friends from work. Light them up. Light them up. In 2025 and beyond, looks like we'll need an even stronger network of goodwill to support and sustain each other. Wisdom shared between us that never goes out. Reach out to prepare for whatever heartache or opportunity is going to be coming up in 2025. We don't know. Bind together the people, the loved ones that you trust. We don't know exactly what will be required, but we know it will require strength, courage, compassion, loving kindness, and faith. The hot mess of our government is a symptom of the hot mess in our nation. We need to stand up and be a light in the darkness. No matter what other form of activism each of us may undertake, we can all grow and spread happiness, express more appreciation, celebrate more gratitude. Here at WellSprings, we enjoy that hashtag, ordinary miracles. And here is a new spiritual practice I'm going to suggest as a worship leader. I recommend it, though, to each of us. Excuse me. The mission of WellSprings is to be a community charged full with the charge of the soul. Look for your charged full. What do y'all think? Each of us look for the charge full that we would bring here. Silently, occasionally raise your hand. You want to participate, certainly. But prepare as if you are going to provide the charge full. The mini message would run about 90 seconds. For me, that's 286 words. I know that looking for the charge full has changed how I see my life. We sing "Everything is Holy Now." For me, that comes from always looking for that charged-full moment which could be shared. Wisdom shared between us that never goes out. Wisdom shared by Rabbi Keller as he prayed early in 2016, encircle me in a robe of light so that I can witness the wounds of the world without being wounded myself. Let me learn what I need to know in order to be of my greatest use without being overwhelmed by despair. Now, at the conclusion of my message, I want to offer my own prayer, saying it this way: Beloveds, 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 in the prayer that closes this message this morning, I want to pour my heart out as if it's my last chance, and pray it's not my last chance. Will you join me in an attitude of prayer? God of our heart's understanding, by your grace, may we be strong. May we be healed. May we be healers. May your mercy be poured on all, poured freely on the just and the unjust. May your mercy heal us, guide us, strengthen us, for loving kindness, for the light shining from us even through darkness, for love itself. Through that force of love, by grace, may we join our hearts and our hands. May our actions be wise, be loving. Bind us together. Bind us to loving kindness. May we hold the faith that love binds the universe together. May we know we're here to shine the light of loving kindness. Amen.
Thank you. Please rise, whether in body or in spirit, for our final song. Do we have the mics on, please? Check, check.
I'm on. Let's see, are you on?
Check.
Check, check. There we go. There we go.
You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel alright, the kind you want to stay up with all night. You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel whole, they won't leave your side when you lose control, the ones that don't let you lose your soul. You gotta find your people, the ones that get the joke, who understand what you're saying before a word is spoke. You gotta find your people that put the needle in the groove. When you're together, you got nothing to prove. When you're together, you got nothing to lose. In a world full of strangers, you don't know who to trust. All you see is danger, trying to find what you lost. You can't go it alone, everybody needs help. You gotta find your people, then you find yourself. You gotta find your people that'll call your bluff, who ride along when the road is rough. You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel equal, that pick you up and don't put you down, help you find your way in the lost and found. In a world full of strangers, you don't know who to trust. All you see is danger, trying to find what you lost. You can't go it alone, everybody needs help. You gotta find your people, then you find yourself. the ones that understand you, the ones that lend a hand to you, the ones that don't demand anything from you. You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel alright. They'll tell you the truth and wish you well. You gotta find your people, then you find yourself. You gotta find your people, then you find yourself.
As we release this flame today, we'll say these words together. As we release this flame from its faithful service today, we allow the spark in each of us to burn on, to warm our compassion, to fire our delight, to light our paths today, tomorrow, and always. Got it. Beloveds, may our circles continue to expand. May our happiness grow. May the light in each of our lives shine to light up each other today, tomorrow, and always. Band, take us out.